Okay, good morning, everybody. This is the Committee on Water and Land. I am Mark Hashem, the chair. To my left is Rochelle Lamosao, the vice chair. Today is Tuesday, March 18, 2025. It's approximately 10:15 a.m. We're in conference room 411 at the state capitol. Before we start, I need some housekeeping measures. We're going to give everybody approximately 2 minutes to testify. That's not a hard time limit, but after about a couple minutes or so, we're going to ask you to wrap it up. This is a morning hearing, so we need to get to the floor session. That is the reason for the 2-minute time limit. If you're on Zoom, please keep yourself muted and your video off while waiting until we call you. When you chat on Zoom, you're chatting with the technical staff over here, not to us. We don't see the chat function. If you're disconnected unexpectedly, you may attempt to rejoin, but we will not be responsible if you can't get back connected. In the event of a network failure, it may be necessary to reschedule the hearing or schedule a meeting for decision-making. Please avoid using any trademark or copyright materials, or else they'll kick us out of YouTube. And please refrain from using profanity. With that said, with all formalities out of the way, first up we have SB 1395, SD2 HD1, relating to state funds. First, we have 1395, Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority in support, not here. We have Hawaii Climate Advisory Team in support, not here. Am I on the right bill? Okay. We have the Office of Governor in support. Will Kane.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Will Kane, Senior Advisor for Governor Green, stand in support of this bill. I would note that the budget bill is happening at the same time, so I know some of the other folks, testifiers, may be attending that as well. But I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you, Will. Next up, we have Climate Mitigation and Adaptation Committee with comments. Hawaii State Energy Office in support.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, Representatives. Cameron Black on behalf of the Hawaii State Energy Office. We stand on our written testimony and support. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Hawaii Emergency Management in support. Are they on Zoom? Nope. We have Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition, Climate Protectors of Hawaii in person. In support? Nope. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? See none. Is there anybody on Zoom? There's one person. Tom on Zoom.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We have submitted written comments. We just wanted to urge you not to go back to the original version. I think the amendments here were made to get to this version were made for a reason. And we don't want to get back to a situation where we have a special fund that does not comply with the standards in 37-52.3. If you haven't answered any questions, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next up, that is all the people that we have registered to testify. We have probably 10 other written testimony and support or opposition and comments. Is there anybody wishing to testify? See none. Members, are there any questions? Representative Shimizu.
Thank you, Chair. Question for Governor's Office. Thank you, Will. I needed to clarify that without this bill, does the governor have the ability and the authority to designate where this interest monies goes to?
Yes, the governor has the authority to designate where the interest monies goes to. Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Hawaii Emergency Management in support. Hawaii Emergency Management in support.
Where this interest monies goes to?
Great question. He does not. So the way the EBRF, or the rainy day fund, is set up, the only way that can be allocated or appropriated out of is by a 2/3 vote of both chambers of the legislature.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wishing to testify? Or, I mean, anybody else wishing to ask questions? See none? Okay, we're moving on. Next up, we have HB 1393. Relating to the use of public lands. First, we have State of Hawaii Department of Education in support.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Dean Uchida, Deputy Superintendent with Department of Education. We provided written testimony on this bill, but we'd like to amend it. When we were taking a closer look at it, we had suggested from on page 3, lines 9 through 12 be deleted. But actually, we want to propose that the deletion start on line 8 after the semicolon and from provided all the way through line 12.
Okay, so that's separate, oh, sorry. I'll ask you later. Go ahead. And, okay, thank you. Next up, we have Hawaii Schools Facility Authority with comments.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Kenyon Tam from the School Facilities Authority. We offered written comments, and we stand on that, and I'm available for questions.
Okay, that is all the registered testimonies that we have for this bill. Is there anybody else wishing to testify in the room? None? Nobody on Zoom? Members, are there any questions? I have a question. Representative Shimizu?
Thank you, Chair. Was Department of Education here? I have a question for you, please. The question is, what authority does SFA currently have regarding this land transfer?
What authority, they can have land transferred to them at their request and the governor's approval.
So they have sole authority to request something and the governor, subject to the governor's approval.
That's my understanding.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Okay, Dean, you can stay there. So that's different from your written testimony.
Right, right.
Can you give a written, what
We'll
you
submit.
what you said, submit it to them
Okay,
over there?
okay,
And then we'll put that in.
okay, thank you.
Okay, that's all. Thank you. Members, no questions? Okay. Next, we're moving on. Next up, we have SB,
Excuse me, Chair. Excuse me, Chair, I'm
Yes.
sorry. For DOE, do you mind
Sure.
explaining the impact of the changes you're suggesting? What's the difference between, how would the bill be different by deleting those portions that
Well,
you're requesting?
we're responsible for the upkeep, maintenance of all the school properties, right? And if they don't consult with us, we have the potential that if we're planning an expansion, any kind of new construction on the campus, we might get into a situation where they want the land, but we have, a proposed use for it in the future. So that's what we're trying to do, is clarify that we have some say in the transfer before it happens.
Okay, that's all then.
Okay, yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, going back to SB 1669, relating to TOD. First up, 1669. First up, we have the AG with comments.
Aloha, Chair and members of the committee, Deputy Attorney General Yvonne Shinmura. We've submitted comments. I'm available for questions. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Hawaii State Energy Office with comments.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, Representatives. Cameron Black on behalf of the Hawaii State Energy Office. We stand on our testimony offering comments. Thank you.
Okay, next we have BNF with comments, not here. Next, we have Department of Hawaiian Homelands in support. Are they here? No. Hawaii Office of Planning, are you here? Okay, thank you. That is, do we have anybody on Zoom? Nobody on Zoom. That is all the people that are registered to testify. Is there anybody in the room wishing to testify? Seeing none, we have an additional 10 or so people in support. Members, are there any questions? Representative Shimizu? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, my question would be to the AG's office, since I'm not sure who's able to answer this question. I guess the question is there, are you aware, is there another entity already doing this now? I'm just trying to understand the need for this bill. So I'm just wondering, is there anybody else that's already doing what this bill proposes?
My apologies, I'm unable to answer that question. Would you like our office to get back to you?
Yes, that would be nice, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room that can answer that question? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Seeing none? Okay, we are moving on. Next up, we have SB 321 relating to transportation. First up, I need to get to the proper page. I got it. Okay, thanks. We have Michael Honda, individual in support. We have Jordan Epperson and Patty Pinto. Nobody here or on Zoom to testify. Members, I guess you can't ask questions. Do you have any questions that you want to drag the department up? No? See none, we're going to move on. Next up, we have SB 1002. First up, we have HHFDC in support. I don't see them here. Next, we have DLNR in person with comments.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Jessica Puff. I'm the administrator of SHBD. We stand on our written testimony with comments.
Okay,
I'm here
thank
for any
you.
questions.
Next, we have DHHL in support. I don't see them here. Next, we have NIOP. Evan, in support.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Evan Oy on behalf of NIAP Hawaii. We stand in strong support of this measure. You have our written comments. We did just want to note a few proposed amendments that we had in relation to application completeness and just for the committee's consideration at this time, but available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, do you have anybody on Zoom? We have nobody on Zoom. That's all the registered people we have to testify. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, are there any questions? Representative Iwamoto?
Thank you. I think this is for DLNR or SHIPD. This bill is maybe slightly different than a previous bill. I mean, does this bill allow the individual, I guess, I think the previous one allowed SHIPD to hire a third party, whereas this one allows somebody else to hire the third party consultant. Is that right?
I think that from my understanding of this bill, they would provide the funding to hire a third party, but that third party consultant would still be hired through SHIPD, I believe. And the difference being that between this bill and the other one is that this one has added language on certain conditions like the availability of a third-party consultant to actually do the work. I think the original bill had language that SHIPD was concerned about that just said that SHIPD shall hire this third-party reviewer without any provisions or caveats to the effect of like what happens if we can't find one and that sort of thing.
And would you need to put an RFP or would you need to do some kind of through procurement? So it's just one entity who would be considered a third party?
I think that I've talked to some of the consulting firms that work in this field, both archaeology firms and architectural history architecture firms. And I think that they would, there's some possibility for us to find a number of different firms because there are very few that do both architectural reviews and archaeological reviews. So we'd either have to find a firm that can do both or contract to multiple entities to handle different parts of a historic preservation review. Yep.
Good. Representative Shimizu?
Thank you, Chair. DLNR, please. When a project requests a third party, do they select a third party or does SHPD select a third party?
I believe that the way that this is written and the way we've interpreted it is that SHPD would be responsible for selecting the third party. I think that if that isn't clear to everyone, that would be something that should be clear because we need to be able to, SHPD, I should say, needs to be able to certify that they do meet certain professional qualifications for being able to do the review, and also to keep track that there's no conflict of interest, that a firm that is working on a project isn't also reviewing their own project and other quality control issues.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Members, any other questions? Seeing none? Yeah, just because I have a question. So you had in here that, like you mentioned, the conflict and that, basically your points that you put up. Do you need that in statute or can you do it by your rules?
I think we can put it in the rules because I believe the bill does have a language that requires us to write rules within a year, I think. So I think that could be clarified further in the rules. And I think that there are already state statute relating to like conflicts of interest and things like that that would also pertain to this. But I'm not a lawyer. That's just my assumption.
Okay, I will leave it out then.
Okay.
All right, thank you. That's all. Members, no questions? We are moving on. Next up, we have SB 1146 relating to the Alawai Canal. First up, we have UH in support.
Chair, Brennan Morioka on behalf of the University of Hawaii. We stand on our testimony and support. Happy
Okay.
to answer questions.
Thank you. Next, we have Christopher, DLNR in support.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Christopher Rankin, Department of Land and Natural Resources. We support this measure, stand on our written testimony, and look forward to working with the university in the future. We can answer any questions as needed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's all the people that we have registered. Nobody on Zoom. We have 5 more people that submitted testimony and support. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Seeing none. Members, are there any questions? Seeing none. Yeah, I got a quick question. How much do you need in this? How much do I put in the committee report?
I believe the original request was $125,000 per year for each year
Okay.
of the biennium. And this is paired also with a CIP appropriation that's also moving through.
Okay, all right, that's all. Thank you. Members, no questions? We are moving on. Next up, we have HB 1511, or, sorry, SB 1511, relating to Hanalei Bay. First up, we have DLNR with comments.
DLNR will stand on its comments.
Okay, next we have anybody else on Zoom? Nobody on Zoom, anybody else in person? Seeing none, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more people in support on this bill. Members, are there any questions? Seeing none? I don't have a question. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to move on. Next up, we have HSB 1083 relating to port infrastructure. First up, we have DLNR in support.
DLNR will stand in support.
Okay, next we have BNF with comments. Is Budget and Finance here? Nope. Next, anybody on Zoom? Okay, we have Antoinette on Zoom.
Mahalo, I'll stand on our testimony. Thank you very much.
Okay. That is, we have about 10 other people and organizations that submitted testimony in support. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, are there any questions? Seeing none, we're going to move on. Next up, we have SB 946, SD2, HD1, relating to wastewater management. First up, we have Department of Health in support, not here. We have County of Maui on Zoom. County of Maui on Zoom.
Aloha, my name is Bob Schmidt, Deputy Director for the Department of Environmental Management, Maui County, and we stand on our support testimony and are here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob. Last, we have Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition in support. That's all the testimony that we received. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, are there any questions?
I have a question.
Representative Bellotti?
I don't even know. Department of Health. Mr. Schmidt is with who? Is
The County of Maui.
County of Maui.
With the County of Maui.
Since you're the only one here, I get to ask you this question. Mr. Schmidt, I'm concerned when we strike out the term "no person shall discharge any treated or raw sewage into state water." I'm just wondering if this is like overly broad, because could this undercut our cesspool requirements? Because person is a broad term. So now it's a question about raw sewage. Is there any way that this broadened language or the removal of the person can open up like individual homes on cesspools to not be subject to any of our other laws? I mean, I see what the intent of this bill is to really limit and explicitly say what treatment plants can do. Is that correct?
Is that question for me?
Yes, because you're the only one here.
Yeah, I mean, I do think obviously it limits treatment plants, and there's some specific language in the bill. It kind of is pre-existing in terms of the Clean Water Act. But yes, I mean, it does limit treatment plants, but, rightly so. I mean, untreated sewage, and in terms of, I mean, I can't really answer for the Department of Health, but I think any person would just allow enforcement, I would think, if someone's polluting.
Okay. Maybe another way to ask this question is 342D specific to some part of the water code, and does this chapter limit itself to this notion of treatment plants or treatment facilities?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I'm just trying to understand the broadness if we strike out person. And so if 342D as a chapter relates to treatment facilities, that might answer my question. And if you don't have the answer, I could do the research on my own.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Anybody else wishing to ask? Representative Shimizu?
Thank you, Chair. I guess I'll ask the question to the only testifier. The question is, and this is just a big picture question, have we analyzed any other options to recycle this discharge product for irrigation or any other use versus just dumping it into the ocean? Is this our only viable option?
Yeah, certainly here on Maui, we produce R1 water, and we have an R1 distribution system that we continue to expand to avoid putting water down injection wells. And that's the direction we're heading, and we'll continue to go in that direction. So yes, the answer is very much yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Members, any other questions? Seeing none, we are at the end of the agenda. We will recess. hold on, let me get prepared here. I don't know if you're gonna like my decisions. Um, Okay. Gaveling back in on our Committee on Water and Land. First up, we have SB 1395. I really think this is a novel way to fund, what is this, climate mitigation items. Unfortunately, I discussed this with the finance chair, and because of the federal situation that is going on right now, we have no clarity, and we're gonna need all the money we need all the cash that we can reserve. So we're gonna keep the funds. Chair's recommendation is to keep the funds in the rainy day fund and the reserves and defer this bill. This is a biennium, so the bill will still be alive. So if we need to, we can revisit this item next session. But for now, Chair's recommendation is to defer. Any comments? Yeah, I see you wanna.
So maybe, well, you can try something new that is allowed in your form, which is to make a recommendation to hold. That way we have a recorded vote on it.
Well, if we hold it, then the bill's dead.
No,
If
I
we
actually read the
defer-
rules. The rules don't.
Well, you
Anyway,
can pull
we
it back
talk
to the
about it.
floor and you can do all kinds of
No,
crazy
no,
stuff.
This committee, actually, once this committee reschedules a hearing on a held bill, it reactivates it, basically.
Okay.
So it's the same thing as deferral, but it allows for a vote, but whatever.
Okay,
Okay, that's all.
I have a comment.
yes.
So I agree with the chair's recommendation. I guess what I think it's contingent upon is the fact that we have to fund these things. And so if our budget currently doesn't fund some of these climate-related initiatives, which I also think is part of the Nawahini settlement, that we abdicate our duties. So as long as we're appropriating the funds that are needed in the budget, then it makes sense not to scoop this money and say specifically for climate mitigation and resiliency initiatives. I'm just very concerned as we move forward that we're going to see the gutting of the federal budget towards environmental initiatives, and this is a creative way. So if this is something that continues to remain on the table as we move into special session, into the next year, I think it's really critical, because if we don't appropriate, then we're going to be failing the advocates and settlements that we've agreed to, like the Navahini settlement. So that's my only comment, Chair. Thank you.
I completely agree with you. Any other comments? Oh, by the way, mitigation items, we can use CIP funds and bond funds.
Yep, so it's all about us appropriating
Yeah.
and making sure we appropriate those things.
Agreed. Okay, with that said, we're moving on. Next, we have, SB 1393 SD1 HD1. Chair's recommendation is to pass this with an HD2, taking the DOE's amendments that he has supposedly passed us, making technical amendments, defecting the date to 7/1/3000, if it's not 7/1/3000 already. And that's it. Any comments or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Members, we're voting on SB 1393 SD1 HD1. Recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments. Chair and vice chair vote aye. Representative Bellotti.
Aye.
Representative Ichiyama is excused. Representative Iwamoto.
Aye.
Representative Morikawa. Representative Poi Poi. Representative Woodson is also excused. Representative Shimizu. Representative Souza.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, we have SB 1669 SD2 HD1. Chair's recommendation is to pass this with an HD2, taking the AG's amendments, making technical amendments, defecting the date to 7/1/3000. This goes on to finance, so they can look at the financial impact on this. I forgot to ask how much it's going to cost, so I'm not going to put it in the committee report. And nobody's here to answer that question. Members, any comments or concerns?
Can I?
400,000?
Yeah.
Okay,
Same.
all right. Okay, thank you very much. Go on.
Okay.
Vice Chair for the vote, sorry.
Voting on SB 1669 SD2 HD1, recommendation of the chair is passed with amendments, noting the excused absence of Representative Ichiyama and Representative Woodson. Also noting the reservations for Representative Bellotti and also Shimizu. Anyone else voting with reservations? Anyone voting no? All other members vote aye. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, we have SB 321 SD1 HD2. Chair's recommendation is to pass this as is, as it already has a defective date as July 1st, 3000. That's it. Unamended.
Chair?
Yes,
It-
unless
it-
you found something.
No, it doesn't have a defective date of 3,000, but this is one of those things, if it
Oh, it doesn't?
goes all the way through and we don't defect it, we could lose sight of it, and then this is 321, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it has a defective date of July 1st, 2050.
The HD1 has 3,000.
Oh, sorry, excuse me, my
Okay.
bad, my apologies.
No problem.
Oh, okay, Chair, you said HD2, but.
Oh, HD1 on this one. So we're going to pass it out as is.
My apologies. No concerns.
Okay, unamended. Okay, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay. Voting on SB 321 SD1 HD1, recommendation of the chair is to pass as is, noting the presence of Representative Ichiyama, but noting the excused absence of Representative Woodson for the remainder of the agenda. Anyone voting with reservations?
I will be voting with reservations. There was no testimony for adequate questioning and answers, so I will move to support the bill and move it forward, but with reservations.
Okay. With reservations for Representative Shimizu. Anyone else voting with reservations? Anyone voting no? All other members vote aye. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, members. Next up, we have SB 1002 SD2 HD1. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out with an HD2. Defecting the date to 7/1/3000, making technical amendments, and that's about it. Yeah. Putting $100,000 in the committee report that they're requesting. Any comments or concerns? Yes.
I'm going to be voting with reservations. I think we've seen this issue before where we're not paying competitive wages to fill the vacancies, and there's 30% of that department who would be doing this work. It's vacant, and so now we're moving to a third party, a private third party person who may actually pay better wages, and so it'll be even more difficult to recruit to eventually fill our vacancies. And we are just kind of creating this very dysfunctional system that we should do more to take care of in a more responsible way. But at the same time, one of the interesting things, the discussions was, this actually then shifts as a fee to the person who's trying to get the permit, so that they will end up paying an additional fee, which does kind of make sense in some weird ways. So I was a no, Nama, with reservations.
Okay. I'm glad we steered you to the yes side. Any other comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, members, we're voting on SB 1002 SD2 HD1. Recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments. Anyone voting no? Also noting the reservations from Representative Iwamoto. Anyone else voting with reservations? All other members vote aye. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, next up, we have SB 1146 SD1 HD1. Chair's recommendation is to pass this unamended. It's already defect dated to 7/1/3000. Yep. And put 125,000 per year in the committee report. Any comments or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay. We're voting on SB 1146 SD1 HD1. Recommendation of the chair is to pass as is. Anyone voting with reservations or no? Seeing none, all members vote aye, Chair. Your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, next we have SB 1511 SD1. Chair's recommendation is to pass this with an HD1, defecting the date to 7/1/3000. It's pretty straightforward. I don't think, and no technical amendments on this one. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, we're voting on SB 1511 SD1. Recommendation is to pass as is. HD1.
Defecting the date,
Sorry.
HD1.
HD1. With amendments. Anyone voting no or with reservations? Seeing none, all members vote aye, Chair. Your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, next up we have SB 1083 SD2 relating to port infrastructure. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out with a HD1, defecting the date to 7/1/3000. It doesn't need tech amendments, but we'll put tech amendments if needed. And put in the committee report that DLNR needs $5 million per year to fund this. Any comments or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, voting on SB 1083 SD2. Recommendation is to pass with amendments. Anyone voting with reservations or no?
I'll be voting with reservations. I agree in the intent,
Reservations for
but
Representative Shimizu.
just based on budget and finances testimony, I think that's a valid concern, so I have reservations about passing it.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair for the vote. Done? All right.
Okay, your recommendation is adopted, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Last, we have SB 946 SD2 HD1. Chair's recommendation is to pass this unamended. It already has a defect date of 7/1/3000 and no technical amendments. Any comments or concerns?
Yes.
Representative Iwamoto?
Thank you. I'm going to be voting with reservations. I appreciate that Representative Bellotti pointed out that striking persons actually narrows the law because it just now focuses on treatment facilities. So arguably a person could do some of the things that we don't want them to do.
Okay, do you want to put persons?
Let me just put it back.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Okay.
Yes.
What would that be? What's that? Yeah,
Let's go back.
wastewater treatment. Oh, I see. You want persons back in?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we'll put persons back in
Okay.
then. We're gonna pass it with an HD1 now.
Then I'm a yes.
Okay, good. I moved you to the yes side again. So we're gonna, okay, sorry. We're gonna pass this with an HD1. We're gonna add persons to the bill.
Excuse me, it would be HD2 then.
HD2.
Is it an HD2?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes, HD2. Yes. Any comments or concerns? Representative Shimizu?
Thank you, Chair. I realize we have real life situations, but just as a protest of dumping sewage into our oceans, I will be voting no.
Okay. Good. Vice Chair for the vote?
Okay, we're voting on SB 946 SD2 HD1. Recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments, noting the no from Representative Shimizu. Anyone else voting no or reservations? All other members vote aye. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, I just want to thank all the members for the support, for supporting the chair. We are adjourned.